Fools, welcome back to another Formula Fools podcast. I'm David, your self-appointed expert, and with me is Skin, who is the local fool on this podcast.
Hello. How's it going?
Yeah, good. How are you, Skin?
Good. Can't complain.
Yeah, little cyclone happening.
Yeah. Well, I guess my complaint is the cyclone's taking too long.
We wanted to play golf on Monday. That's not going to happen anymore.
Exactly. Ruining all our plans.
Devastating. So yeah, if you are listening and think it sounds different, if you're watching and you can see it sounds different, then it's because we're at Skin's house. And Maeve is asleep in the next room, who's Skin's baby. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to not wake Maeve. And also there's a cyclone happening. So there also could just be like windows smashing at any moment.
Yep. Yeah, it's been quite strange. The cyclone was meant to hit like yesterday morning.
And it didn't.
It didn't. I don't really want to leave in case it hits, but I don't know. It's looking less and less cyclonic outside, so it's a strange thing.
Yeah.
We probably could have gone to the office, but...
Also could not be warmer today.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, here we are.
Here we are. So what we're doing this week is we are going to be looking at preseason testing. Obviously that finished just last week. We learned a lot. Mm-hmm. And as this podcast comes out, the Melbourne Grand Prix is this weekend coming. So yeah, what did we learn from preseason testing, I guess, and what can we expect at the Melbourne Grand Prix? Just a quick top line. What is preseason testing? Were you going to ask that?
No, I've got that down pat.
Okay.
It's before the season starts.
Yep.
Pre-season.
Yeah.
And they go out and do some testing.
Yep. That's about it.
That's about it.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So yeah, preseason testing is just to put the cars through the paces, make sure that they're built correctly, make sure they've got the new aerodynamic things they've worked on over the winter and over the end of last season is working how they wanted it to and how their systems are telling them it should work. And it's also just first chance for us to get to see the cars, mainly for us. That's all we're going to get from it because everyone's sandbagging and everyone's just hiding their true pace.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what sandbagging means?
Sort of like not showing how good you are.
Yeah.
So that people don't copy you or something like that, I suppose is the idea.
Yeah. Like putting sandbags in the car, making it heavy. Not literal sandbags, but it would make the car heavier, which would make you slower.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know that's where that came from.
Yeah. I think that's where it came from. If not, that's where it should have come from.
Okay. Well, in that case, because everyone was talking throughout testing about Red Bull sucking.
Yes.
And sort of being disappointing, which was sort of happening last year already, I suppose. So maybe there's some truth to it. But are you implying that they're just sandbagging and they're probably still going to be quite good at making cars?
It's difficult. I wrote Red Bull sucking and their issues on my list because I thought the same thing. They didn't look like a typical Red Bull do at preseason testing. Yes, they are known to sandbag and to not show the true pace, but it just felt a little bit more like they looked worried. There was a lot of flow vis on the car. There was a lot of small runs out where they would like send a car out, bring it back in, make some changes, send it back out. All of them things kind of indicate to me that they're not 100% happy with what they've got.
Okay.
And so that's why I think a lot of people were saying that. And that's definitely why I was concerned for their pace.
Okay. All right. I have a few questions about that.
Okay.
Firstly, this is the first time I've really paid any attention to preseason testing at all. I think last season I got into F1 pretty much when you made me go to the Australian Grand Prix. So I've never really paid that much attention to it. And then, I see these cars driving around with FlowViz paint on. What's that all about? And why did Red Bull in particular use so much of it? Yeah,
so FlowViz is just very thin. I think it's a water-based paint, but it's got it's quite sticky, so it will still stick to the car. But the reason they'll do it is, let's say they're testing the side pod, they might throw a ton of FlowViz paint over the side pod, but also over the front wing. Because what they want to do is they want to see what they're measuring there is how the air will flow off the front wing, over the tires and hit the side pod. And so is the side pod is it designed or is it in the correct setup position for it to receive that air and then guide the air to the rear of the car, to the diffuser or to the rear wing, wherever they're trying to send it. to create maximum downforce. So it's all about seeing how air flows over a car. And so this is why they also spend a lot of money in photographers to be dotted around the track to take very high quality photos of the cars with the flow vis on. They do also use string. So sometimes you'll see like little bits of wool or string on the underside of a front wing, and they'll have cameras pointing at it or something pointing at it, so they can then look at data afterwards and say, okay, well, our data is telling us this, the flow vis or the string is moving in this direction, so this data we're getting on our computer system correlates with what we're seeing in real life, or it doesn't. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Wait, how would they not correlate?
If your simulator's not set up properly, if the computers are, there's been so many times where computers have said this upgrade's going to do X, Y, Z, it's going to bring this to the car, and then under certain altitudes or crosswinds or whatever, it then performs differently. So just real world testing is the best testing. Okay.
Right. They would have already spent a bunch of time in like wind tunnels and stuff though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but wind tunnels can only do like directional air. So if you've got directional air and then a big gust hits you from the side, or you have to turn the car, wind tunnels are very good. They're very advanced, but yeah, and this is why our sport spends a stupid amount of money, because we've got amazing simulators and computer programs. Then we've got wind tunnels. We've got all this, and then they still have to put the car on track and test it on track, because all of that could be wrong, and they could have wasted so much money.
Okay. So I assume at testing, they're testing more than just the aerodynamics. Are there any other little exciting nuggets that I should have noticed throughout testing? Like FlowViz paint, which like this fluoro stuff just chucked all over the livery, was quite eye-catching. It was like, what the hell's that? But I assume they're testing lots of things. Like, what else are they up to?
Yeah, so a lot of electrical things. This year will be a lot less than what we'll see next year. Next year, I'm going to assume we're going to have 2 3-day tests or 2 4-day tests, because new engine regulations, new aerodynamic regulations, there's going to be a lot higher chance for issues to occur. Whereas this year, rule freeze, like the rules are barely changed. They're changing tiny amounts, but not a lot. And the engines are still frozen. So we only need 3 days of testing. But things like your electronical systems, just to make sure the car boots up correctly. If you've got your starting procedure with the clutch, your clutch setups and things like that, making sure they're dialed into any electrical or engine changes you may have made over the winter. And also just things like making sure that the engineers and the drivers, especially with the amount of driver changes we've had this year, making sure that they're on the same page and they're going through the correct procedures ahead of the first race. So there's a lot of things. A lot of main things around the car, but then there's also a lot of communication things. Make sure radios are set up in the correct way, things like that.
Right.
I would say that's the number one reason we see people doing bad in testing is electrical issues. Either the car's been wired up wrong, or they're trying something different to make it lighter, and therefore, there's an electrical issue, or a corner's been cut or something like that. And it's just making sure none of them things happen.
Right. Okay.
McLaren are looking very good. They're looking like they're at the top end of the field. Ferrari and Mercedes quite close to them, but in the long run testing we were seeing, they're looking super consistent, and they're looking like they could have a very good progression into this season from how they finished last season, which is great. The bad news is for us is that if that is the case and Ferrari and Mercedes aren't as close to them, we could see McLaren run away with it. I doubt it'll happen. I think Ferrari and Mercedes are going to be and Red Bull are going to be very close to them, but yeah, McLaren looking strong.
Well, if McLaren, even if McLaren do run away with the team championship, if they're looking so strong already, that you would think that would make the Drivers' Championship pretty exciting to watch throughout the season anyway, wouldn't it? Given Max essentially won that in like the 6th race last year or something.
He would like 2 to go, but yeah, sure. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Even if McLaren are the fastest car, I don't imagine Oscar and Lando are going to, not one of them is going to pull over for the other one and say, here's the championship. Like, they're going to fight.
Yeah, for sure.
So even if McLaren have got it in the bag, we could still see a championship with Oscar and Lando if everyone else is just fighting for 3rd, 4th, 5th kind of thing. Okay. But yeah, I think, I reckon it's going to be just an extension of last season. I think we're going to see a lot of people win and a lot of very tight racing again this year.
Yeah, okay. And Yeah, okay. So like everyone that I saw sort of talking about the season after testing, like just seemed so excited. Like thought it was going to be one of the best seasons to watch in recent history. Are you in that same boat then? Or?
I'm a lot more pessimistic. Yeah. No, I think that I think it'll be a good season, and I think we will get a lot of race winners. But last year was unreal. Yeah, like last year was the best season I've ever watched of F1. So will it stack up to that? Probably not.
Okay.
But I think it will still be better than what we saw in 22, 23.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you said it'll probably, like, you expect it to be a bit of an extension of last year. Is that like almost literally true if there weren't any regulation changes throughout, like in between the two seasons? Like I don't, like how does it work? So teams would already be paying people to build like next season's car and the season after that's car. They'd already be working on it, right? But like if the regulations haven't changed, are the cars we're seeing this year essentially the same cars as last year?
Yes and no. So a few teams up and down the grid have kept with the same chassis and the same suspension setup, engine and gearbox and things like that. All that is the same for a lot of the teams. But some teams like Ferrari have changed their entire suspension setup. So they used to have a push rod system. They've now got a pull rod system on the front end of the car, which is just the way that the suspension is set up and positioned, which can have a balancing effect. So remember, like when Lewis was complaining last year and his engineer was like, oh, it's a balancing issue. The system they're going for is a bit more aggressive, and it's with the trend of Red Bull and McLaren of last season. So I think that's why they've gone with it. So there are still big changes happening that can throw up. Either Ferrari could just be gurus now, or McLaren may have brought something that is leagues above everyone else, but it's such a small thing. And this is why we spend so much money, is the smallest of things in this sport can just give you another second, 2 seconds. And I reckon that I think that's the biggest mistake, to think that we go in season to season with no major rule changes. It is going to be just the exact same. It will be very similar, especially in the early few races. But when we get to, I don't know, a third of the way through the season, we're going to see new parts being brought to the car, which might be things they found within development of next year's car. So they may find something and go, oh, actually, let's implement this here. Yeah, okay. Or just from preseason testing. And I think at that point is when, it's the same last year, at that point of the season is when we started to see Red Bull dip and McLaren and Ferrari rise. So yeah, there's no kind of guarantee to what's going to happen this year. Mm-hmm. Also, Williams dominate.
Yeah, I did notice that. I assumed you'd mention it at some stage.
Yeah, I mean, it was number one on my list, but I was like, let's just wait until close to the ad break. Just leave everyone on a cliffhanger of Williams are going to win they're going to dominate.
They're going to win the dominate.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just making this up on the fly. We are going to dominate the championship asterisk at some point in the future.
Okay, not this season.
Not this season,
even though the fastest lap in testing.
Yeah, it doesn't mean a lot.
No.
Everyone else was sandbagging. Like, I think if we saw McLaren, Ferrari, like there was a graphic that said Williams were like 9/10 faster than their qualifying lap last year at the same track. It's fantastic, but I'm sure we were like 1.6 seconds off of first place last year. So 8/10 faster. That is assuming that no one else on the grid has improved at all, which I don't believe they would have. I think everyone's improved. Yeah. So that's that 1.8 second, that 0.9 seconds it could be nothing. It could be no improvement. We could be in the same position as last year. Mm-hmm. It's just nice to see.
Tell you who's doing some serious sandbagging. Oh, Haas and Steak.
You reckon?
Haas finished dead last and second last.
Yeah, I don't know if that's sandbagging or if that's just that they're bad.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, I was taking the piss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, speaking of Haas, sandbagging, what looked faster?
Yeah,
Haas or that bus that drove around?
Oh my God, I completely forgot about that bus.
The big red flag. Accidental got a bus on the track.
Yeah.
In the middle of
a official F1 preseason test.
Yeah, not what you want.
Not at all what you want, no. And I mean, we've seen crazy things at testing before, like manhole covers being blown up and us spending 6 hours just watching people weld down manhole covers. But that was loose.
Yeah, that was right up there.
Yeah.
And then Haas's car started falling apart as well. There's like, what was that? What came off there?
Just the side pod, there would have been like a pressure buildup or something, maybe just even airflow. So, when you see them like before the qualifying race, they'll put this like really thin tape around all the seams of the body parts.
Right. Okay.
It's rare that you kind of see them, but if sometimes you'll see people doing like the pundits doing bits outside the garage and you can see them in the background putting this tape on. The tape is just to stop air getting underneath and then causing like body part blowouts. We see this all the time in testing. We've seen it for years now. I'm sure Haas have done it before. We've definitely seen Force India do it in the past. I think Williams had their entire engine cover blew off one year, like a few years back. So it's not uncommon. It's something they'll have fixed by the race. They'll know exactly what went wrong and they'll get it fixed. But yeah, we see it. We see it semi-regular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other thing that went wrong was they got to really practice for that line at the start of the race where they say lights out and away you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave that a good run on the first day as well. Just a genuine power outage.
It was so funny as well because bastards. I was watching it and Bernie Collins, the presenter, was like, I think they said like, oh, Bernie's heading around to turn 4 or something, so she's going to give us like trackside insight. And then they cut to her and all the lights are out and she's like, I don't really know what to say. It's red flagged. Yeah. And it starts raining as well. So she's just out in the cold rain. Weirdly, in Bahrain, there was all this rain and it was freezing cold for some reason. And she's just out in the middle of the desert. It's pitch black. Everyone's just cold and wet.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Bizarre scenes.
Wait, does it not normally rain in Bahrain?
Good. But no, it doesn't. It's a desert. Right. It's like, is it? Yeah, it's like very like.
Wait, where is it? I don't even know.
It's like Middle East.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I guess it wouldn't rain in Bahrain.
No, very strange.
Right. And then the last thing I wanted to ask is, like, they seem so strict on like how much time. How do they structure it? They're so strict on like how much time or how many laps or something that teams and drivers can get out there and test for. Why is that? Like, so there's 3 days.
Yep.
But the teams only send out one car or something. Like the drivers have to split the days. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, the teams can do it however they want to. So for Williams, Carlos and Alex both had one full day and then a half day each. But some teams will do 3 half days. So like you'll get morning, afternoon, or afternoon, morning, afternoon kind of thing. The regulations just say that they're only allowed to test one car during testing so that there's not traffic on track. There's a lot less likelihood that there's going to be a crash, which means that money is going to stay low. So it's all just to keep budget costs, like within budget caps. Also just means we're not running as many tires or as many fuels and things like that.
Right.
And really for preseason testing, it's a lot less about the drivers getting their eye in. Of course, the drivers have been out of the car in the gym for the past few months. So getting in the car is helps with the neck muscles and things like that. But it's more for us to know about the car and know the characteristics about the car. So that's also why we talk about sandbagging. Like the drivers aren't pushing the cars that much around the track. They're kind of cruising around and just like feeling what this car is all about.
Right.
So we have them kind of limitations, but yeah, like I've said, next season we could see 2-3 day tests. We don't really know what's going to happen next season. Whenever we have a major rule change, we've had 3 day tests before, and it just depends. But way back when we used to have unlimited testing, so you could go to whatever track you wanted and just run for days on end.
Yeah.
And Ferrari used to do that all the time with Michael.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm all for a bit of efficiency, don't get me wrong, but that's what I thought would have made sense. Like the idea of going into a season, going into your first race, and you've like
barely tested.
You've barely driven the car. It just seems crazy. Like if I did that at cricket, if I went into my first day of cricket with like 1 training session under my belt, I'd average 0 every season.
But then I think that's kind of we're at the point with technology where we can simulate and replicate driving an F1 car as much, like so close to real life, minus G-forces. And I think with all of the wind tunnels and everything else that we mentioned in the pod so far, like there's so much technology there that we use to make sure that these things are going to be okay, that it's almost like we almost just don't need unlimited testing now. And for teams like Williams, Haas, Kick Sauber this year, like for us that we're gonna struggle to get up to the budget cap. Whereas for teams like Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, like these teams aren't going to struggle for money. They could pump 500 million into the thing and test all they want. It's not going to be a thing on them because they can almost guarantee with that they're going to win the world championship. Whereas with teams like us, we're not going to have a chance. So it also levels the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
The Melbourne Grand Prix is coming up this weekend. We're going to be heading there, Skin.
Oh, yeah. Exciting stuff.
Yeah. And last year, me and Skin obviously went to the Melbourne Grand Prix and we wrote down and mentioned on the pod a few things that we think you should be aware of if you're heading to the Melbourne Grand Prix or any Grand Prix this season. Because there's a few things we didn't do and we live to tell the tale just.
Yeah. Well, and the first one was around taking sunscreen, which you would think would be obvious. I don't know how we didn't think of that, but we didn't. And yeah, not to get extreme, but I am glad we lived through it because my solution to not having sunscreen was to wear long pants and a jumper and a hood in the sun.
Yeah. It was 26 degrees.
Yeah, which sucked. I was just sitting there in the sun with a hoodie on, trying to protect myself from the sun. But I probably had a body temperature of about 42 degrees.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And this year for the Melbourne Grand Prix, it's going to be 30 plus degrees over the weekend. So definitely do that.
Yep.
Also take water. That's not on the list, but water and sunscreen hand in hand. Second on the list is if you have a GA ticket, then make sure to just take a camping chair or something because holy Moses, sitting on that grass, especially on the Sunday for like genuinely 13 hours was the most horrific thing in the world.
Yeah, that sucked. It's pretty cramped.
Yeah.
A little bit of space. If you got a camping chair, you just get that little bit of extra room. No one's going to sit on top of you.
No.
Yeah.
And everyone that didn't bring a camping chair is going to look at you like they want to kill you and you can just be proud of that one.
Yep, correct. You also really ought to bring some cash, like if you're buying food and drinks and stuff.
Yep.
Like most places accept card, but then the Wi-Fi breaks, and it was like we only had cards, so we're sitting there in a line of about 300 people that's just not moving at all because the Wi-Fi's down, so they can't accept it. And then anyone who's got cash is just cruising on past you. You feel like a real idiot. So.
And that was on a Friday. We realized that as well. Yeah. We were trying to get beers on a Friday. There wasn't a ton of people, but everyone that was there were trying to get beers.
Yeah.
And everyone that had cash was just smugly walking to the front.
Bastards.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to get beers, then hopefully you like drinking Heinekens.
Yeah. I mean, great people.
Oh, yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Lovely. Drop.
Yeah. If they want to sponsor,
if they're looking for a podcast,
we'll wear their merch. We'll have the beer cans next to us.
I could do that if I had to. I'm just saying there aren't other options.
Yeah, no, of course.
Sure, there might be other.
Well, there was that Bundaberg. There was that Bundaberg ginger beer. That was delicious.
Mm-hmm.
If they were also looking to jump on board,
that's true. You change things up a little bit sometimes. Yeah. It's fine.
Also, I would say if you are going to go general admission and you've got the option to go on a Thursday and Friday and you're like, I just kind of want to go Saturday, Sunday, go on a Thursday and Friday. Friday's busier. Thursday's great because it was very empty.
Oh, there's no one there on Thursday.
Yeah, it was the best. But you get to see a lot. I mean, there's Formula 2, there's supercars, things like that as well. But you get to find the best spots for what you want to see. So if you want to see just cars flying by you as fast as humanly possible, you can find the best GA spot for a straight. If you want to find a chicane or a nice corner, go find the best GA spot for that.
Yeah.
I think it's something we took for granted. I don't think because we didn't do the entire track.
No.
And I think when on the Sunday we were like, let's just go here because it's the only place we've consistently been to.
Yeah. I think we had a good spot. I think what we screwed up, and the fifth thing you could learn from us is, we found this great spot that we wanted to sit at.
Yep.
So any reasonable person would go to the closest gate to the spot so you can just get in there and walk to the spot. We went at like fucking 5 a.m. or something, like the first people at the gate. Turns out, and we're at the wrong gate.
Yeah. And we didn't know until we got in.
We didn't realize. I don't know how we screwed it up. We go inside and we're like, we're still a 25-minute walk away from the corner that we want to be sitting on. By the time we got there, the hill's packed and we're just crammed in like sardines. It was we're imbeciles. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, we walked through the gate and realised we're idiots. Yeah, genuine 25-minute walk. Oh, it was horrific. we will, like we said, we're going to be at the Melbourne Grand Prix. If you see us and want to say hello, please come and say hello. Lee from the We Got the Chocolates podcast, Skin's brother, will also be there with us.
Yep.
So yeah, we're going to be shooting some stuff. Come say hello, take a photo.
Yeah, please.
Make me feel like I'm famous. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, you get that regular.
No.
I think 6 or 7 people asked you how your knob was last year.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens to people who are actually famous, though.
Well, it depends.
Only if they've got their knob pierced.
Yeah, if someone got their knob pierced, then yeah.
In the public eye, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Oh, don't say public eye.
And in the other eye.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move us on to a game. And seeing as it went down so well a few weeks ago, 2 lies and a truth, I decided, you know what? Let's go back to the beginning. This is 2 truths and a lie.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is innovative.
I know. Do you know what?
Here we go.
People are going to be so confused about how we're switching this up.
Yeah.
I just hope that
it's tough to follow.
I'm explaining it well enough. So on the back of that one, I came up with some new two truths and a lie. You've got to guess the lie, all around preseason testing and weird things we've seen around preseason testing.
All right, hit me.
So the first one is weird delays and track issues. In 2020, F1 testing was briefly halted because a drain cover came loose, forcing marshals to spend hours welding the grates back down. God damn it, I already gave that one away.
Confident that's true. Thank you, Dev.
In 2013, preseason testing was delayed when a stray dog ran onto track, forcing a full stoppage. And in 2018, Barcelona testing was red flagged when heavy snowfall covered the circuit, making it impossible to run for most of the day. So which one is the lie, Skin?
I think the last one is the lie. I think a dog on the track is more likely than snow in Barcelona.
Okay.
Not that I've ever been to Barcelona, but I'm just picturing Spanish summers.
Yep. Mm-hmm. They also have winters where it snows. Number 2 was the lie.
Damn it.
A dog did not run onto track in 2013. Sorry, Skin.
That's all right.
But I can see why you would go there. We also spoke last year about dogs running on tracks.
Yeah.
So, but that wasn't during testing. That was during an actual race weekend.
Yeah, okay.
Round 2, team disasters. In 2015, McLaren Honda's preseason test was a nightmare, with the car completing fewer laps than any other team due to persistent engine failures. So this was when Honda had made a return to F1 partnering with McLaren. In 2006, Super Aguri had arrived so unprepared for testing that they had to run an old Arrows chassis from 2002.
All right, good.
In 2012, Ferrari's preseason test went so smoothly that Fernando Alonso declared that that the car was perfect before the first race. Now, Fernando does say a lot of rogue things like that.
Yep, he likes saying things.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry. Was he driving for Ferrari at the time, or he's a competitor talking?
No, he was a Ferrari driver. He drove, I think, 2010 through to 2013. He drove for Ferrari. Competed for the championship every year as well.
Wow, good on him. I think the first one is a lie. McLaren, just the type of team to not have disasters. You know, that's why I support them. They're just too good. Can't see that happening.
Okay. Number 3 was the lie.
Fuck me.
Number 1 could not have been more true. Fernando was actually racing for McLaren at the time and said it was one of the worst cars he's ever driven.
Goodness me. What the hell?
Yeah, Honda's return to F1 was not good.
Okay.
And McLaren very swiftly dropped them and went back to Mercedes engines.
Are McLaren still using Mercedes engines, or do they make their own engine?
No, Mercedes engine. They don't make their own engines, even for their road cars, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, they've never made their own engine in F1. They've always bought someone else's.
All right. Good on them.
Well, that wraps up another lap of the Formula Fools podcast. We hope you enjoyed the ride as much as we did. It is now your turn to join us join the Formula Fools family on social media. We are at Formula_Fools on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. And on Facebook, we're at Formula Fools.
You can also drop us a rating and review wherever you happen to be listening, Apple, Spotify, things like that. That would help a great deal.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. If you are at Melbourne, say good day. Go buy us a beer if you want. I mean, I'm not going to say no to it. But yeah, thank you for joining us at Formula Fools, where every turn is a chance for a good laugh. We'll see you next time. Go your Skin.
Go Disc. And don't buy Dave too many beers. He was a menace last year.